Hello friends, let's start off with a reading, shall we? They were careless people, Tom and Daisy. They smashed up things and creatures and then retreated back into their money or their vast carelessness or whatever it was that kept them together, and let other people clean up the mess they had made. It's been an interesting week or two in the fragrance community and internationally, because the entire world always kind of comes to a standstill when the American elections occur. And of course, that's because for many of us, when the United States sneezes, the whole world catches a cold. I will say that I'm going to spend a good chunk of time talking about things that have occurred recently, so I will in the description put a timestamp of when I'm going to actually just start talking about perfume. So we're going to be talking about stuff, and then I took a recent trip to the UK, so I'll discuss the scents I took with me, and then I will discuss the headliner of the day, which is Miller Harris, with great thanks to Janice and Octavian, who have given me an inordinate amount of samples to discuss with you. And hopefully you cannot hear the scooter that is just whizzing down the road. They're quite pathetic little vehicles, aren't they? Okay, so actually, let's start on a light note about brands and entering the social media space, especially with influencer marketing. It is 2024. Content creators or influencers are often doing that as a job. So there is a value in getting out there and getting platformed on somebody's space. That's to say, if you would like the potential to be platformed on somebody's space, you need to send people things without any strings attached at your expense. But if you want them to say specific things, if you have a particular mandate for your activation of your product, you need to pay people. Because gifted collabs are not a real thing. Gifted collabs are exploitation. Because let's discuss the infinite loop. You want the creator to create a piece of content with specific guidelines about your product. You have to send them that product to create the content with those specific guidelines. And now the payment for this content is the product. Does that make sense to you? Does it make sense to me? So that's to say, you either need to have confidence in what you've made and think that the content creator will naturally discuss it, or you need to make some budget in your contract. Because I've been approached a couple of times now with brands boasting that I'm going to get free product as payment and telling me the value of their product, which is also very funny because we're in the industry, content creators are part of the fragrance industry. Well, fragrance content creators are, at least. And a lot of us have value in that. Not only do we have influence with an audience, we also have a specific capacity to discuss fragrance and get people curious about the product, which is not easy to do because perfume is really something you have to smell to decide whether or not you like. So getting an olfactive language and getting a way in which to relate to people and to storytell around that product is actually a valuable skill. So please stop shortchanging us in that way. I swear, if I get another DM like that again. And the thing is, the most recent one was from a brand I actually was interested in, and I was just disappointing to see that, because it's like, oh, you think my platform is valuable enough for your product, you think our brands align, but you don't think I'm valuable enough to pay? That's rude. That's a little rude. But that's also to say, I really appreciate every brand who just say, we'd love to send you this. Tell us what you think. I interpret that as I can give you a DM and give you feedback, or I could post about it, and it's up to me. And I love that freedom. And if your product is good enough, it will get featured, surely. Anyway, let's move on. So the US elections. So I want to discuss my point of privilege in that I come from a country that is a young democracy, meaning literally my country is only 1 year older than I am. So most of the major political parties in my country are center left, really. They're all kind of moderate. And so I don't come from a context where you brand yourself really by who you vote for. And I don't really come from a context where the outcome of an election is an existential threat to my quality of living. On one hand, that's because a lot of great work was done by constitutional lawyers when the South African Bill of Rights was drafted, and it's quite ironclad. For instance, when you talk about women's reproductive health, that's written into the Constitution. And so that's a given. There's no person that could ever come into power that would be able to change the law such that we wouldn't have access to that healthcare. Of course, the enaction of constitutional policies is a different story, but in theory, there is a legal way to get things done and to make sure that our rights are ensured by the Constitution. So it's always really interesting to see the fallout of elections and to see how much it affects people. And it's a really real way. It's really sad. And I'm really sorry to all of my American friends, and actually all of my European friends as well, it seems, that there's this great divide between left and right, which are weird concepts, really. And yeah, I'm sorry that things are so dire these days. Humanity is a social project, and it's a group project, so it's a tough thing to get right and to get, mandated. Overall, my personal philosophy about life is that I believe that life is precious, and I also believe in policies, movements, and people that maximize as much freedom for everybody. Now, in theory, that should make me a socialist and be anti-capitalist because of the way capitalism is set up, but I also do like nice things. But that is part of being a human. You are hypocritical in some ways. So I definitely have existed in a liberal bubble for most of my life. So it's really interesting to see where people draw their lines, and everybody draws their lines in different places, and a lot of people are willing to sacrifice other people in order to meet their specific end goals. Which brings us to the hot topic of the week, which has been the deplatforming of a certain content creator who has recently started a fragrance brand, who is featured in one of my episodes, which I won't go back to edit out or change. Maybe I'll remove the name from the title. But when Toni Morrison said that one of the functions of racism is distraction, that is so real. Because the work it takes to go and unfollow people or remove content just so that you are maintaining your platform in a way that aligns with your personal philosophy and political ideology is so exhausting. So, if that irks you in any way, I respect your opinion, I respect your decision with whatever you want to do based on that. But I'm trying to do things in my real life, and I'm trying to just talk about perfume and meet like-minded people that are lovely. But let's discuss what happened and the fallout. So somebody saw that this person had liked a video, and not a video, an Instagram post that had kind of Trump-leaning sentiments. It was actually very Trump-like. It was a return to rational realism, and something about dismantling of fake news, something like that. And it had come from an Instagram account that was very pro-Trump, very MAGA. And then somebody screenshotted this and said, is this person that you guys are entertaining and following and loving. It looks like they're a MAGA supporter. And then some people started taking that and sharing the screenshot and started, to be fair, starting a train of character assassination. And I watched that and I watched in a kind of reserved way. I was just keeping an eye on things because it just, on the surface, it felt a little bit mad to join a mob of cancellation. By the way, cancel culture does not exist. It's an internet concept, but it's not grounded in reality. So I just watched things unfurl, and then their Twitter account was revealed, and they had said a lot of, to quote them, unhinged things. And I mean, it was rampant with hoping that people perspire in COVID so they could watch the movies, xenophobia, using homophobic slurs, and just unsavory things. Maybe things that people who I respect and hold in high regard would say around a fire pit, but not online, right? So this then precipitated in mass sharing of this new information about this person. Also some deeper diving, and it was revealed that they were using a nom de plume the entire time. I thought that their name was too cool, but and apparently people said that the name itself was an indicator of their potential political leanings. I still do not understand that. I tried to look it up, but for instance, so I know Scout is the child of the lawyer in To Kill a Mockingbird who was defending a black man. So that didn't really stick out as anything to me, but I haven't read To Kill a Mockingbird in a long time. Dixon is supposed to be, here I was saying, I don't know who this, I wasn't going to say their name, but here I am saying their name anyway. And Dixon is like derived from some European roots, but it's supposed to be son of Richard, and then an ordinal direction. So I didn't really think that didn't really stand out to me. But at the end of the day, while I consume a lot of American media, I'm not really deeply entrenched into American culture and history, because I also have my own country and my own culture and history, and that's something I'm more familiar with, although I'm becoming more globalized as time goes by. So yeah, so that they revealed these tweets that were really shocking, and I was really shocked and in denial for a long time, perhaps still am, because on one hand, I really appreciated their taste in fragrance. I thought that they were a kind of person that was interesting to follow because, sorry, there is a helicopter around. I'm just going to continue talking. Like I said, this is supposed to be the most chilled podcast. I was in denial because this was not in line with the person that I had interacted with, the person I had seen interacting with other people, who was very kind and courteous, who would send you a letter with a wax seal to say thank you for an interaction, right? Somebody who displays a lot of etiquette and kindness. And then when they eventually responded to all the backlash, which took a couple of days, they kind of just said, you don't know me, and I'm just going to continue making beautiful things. No contrition whatsoever. And that is very disappointing, because while a lot of people say unhinged things in their private life, saying things out publicly like that is hurtful. It's just not necessary, especially when I'm not going to presume the life they've had, but when you are of a phenotype that is generally privileged in the world, like a slim, white-appearing woman, you don't need to punch down. There are so many things that are hilarious in the world that don't require you kind of leaning into almost alt-right sentiments. So, yeah. But then, as they had said, you don't know me, so perhaps my interpretation of my engagement with them was just misguided. And it's true that we do create fictions of people based on our interactions with them. But I would argue, not to get too philosophical about it, every interaction we have with somebody and our understanding of them is a fiction, because only you yourself know who you are in the most complete sense. But based on that, a lot of stores dropped their product and a lot of people unfollowed them and called them out. There was one person who was sharing a lot of information that was being quite verbally abusive, which I don't think was necessary, but I also will never purport to tell people how to act or behave when confronted with situations that align with abuse against their own people, right? But I mean, as a Black woman living in the world, I understand the world to be as it is, right? Racism, xenophobia, sexism is part and parcel of my lived experience. I will never escape it, and I can never change what I look like and where I come from. So this is something that I will forever engage with. And it's always true wherever I go, whatever new country I visit, it is always queer people and people of color, specifically women of color, who lend out and reach out with a hand of welcome, a hand of help. And that is why I will always be in the corner of marginalized people. Not only because I belong to the group, but because it's so silly to live in a world where people want to eliminate those people. Like queer people, people of color, and people that are kind of different have existed for the entire history of humankind. It's not a new thing. And it doesn't make any sense to have such focus on these groups of people as part of like a political program. And I'm so sorry, even in the time of Jesus, there were queer people. And he definitely was not a white man either. So anyway, but race in itself is a stupid concept, and it's useless, and it's only ever used to sow division. But one of the interesting phenomena that occurred was kind of tribalism that emerged. And I think a lot of people, understandably, want to ensure that they're acting in ways that communicate their stance. But as an individual, you can make your own choice. You can behave in the way that you want to, and you just take whatever fallout results from that. And you need to stand on business, as they say. Because alongside this, there was a recent video posted and apparently there were others, but I'm again in a liberal bubble on TikTok, so I've never seen any video in defense of this person. But somebody had posted a video saying that we did her dirty and we were too quick to cancel her, and saying that everybody was so quick to join onto a hating mob, blah 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 blah. And they kept on using the word oui, and I didn't even know that they spoke French like that, because you know, everybody's acting in a group because we are in community, but your individual actions should always follow your personal philosophies. And people can question you on that and you don't have to answer them. But you don't have to do this meditation out loud and try and chastise people for reacting in a way that kind of makes sense considering the times. A lot of people, especially women in the US, are scared. I was shocked when they overturned Roe v. Wade 2 years ago. And it's not always publicized, but the fallout of that has been really public. And you have one candidate that says, we're going to fix this, and we've got another candidate that doesn't really care about that. So it's been a sensitive time. And this is also kind of getting a little bit weird. I've seen people tagging me in things now implicating or insinuating that other people I follow are potentially like right-wing Trump supporters. And they're showing me screenshots of a person defending themselves because people are demanding they make a political statement when they don't make political content. And people are like, oh, the silence is so loud. And I understand the times. I understand that people are suspicious of each other because of the statistics of the voter polls. I understand that, but it's also kind of giving, do you condemn Hamas? You know, whenever somebody goes on to discuss something on media websites in relation to the conflict in Gaza, and then the first thing before anything that they can say is justifiable, qualifiable, they have to first condemn. Yeah, I think it's very strange, but I also understand it. But I also know that if you are a person of a specific kind of quality, of a specific kind of morals, usually this is quite evident in the way you portray yourself. Apparently not always, because look at the situation we're in now, but usually that's evidence enough, and the right people will stay, the suspicious people will go, and then people can change their minds whenever they want to. And also, the metrics of social media aren't always good, like indicators of what people believe in, right? Following somebody is not an endorsement of what they've said. Maybe something obvious like a like maybe is a little bit indicative of something, but we need to, if you feel suspicious about somebody, instead of starting a rumor mill or trying to create a train against them, you as an individual have the capacity to just respond and react in a way that feels authentic to yourself, and you don't necessarily need the justification of others in order to do so. Of course, it's also good to have a sanity check. Like, I was having sanity checks with people while things were unfolding. I remember somebody who also comes from a different government was like, let's discuss this. And I said, yes, let's. And we both like kind of shared our thoughts. And I really appreciated the fact that they said, I am very aware that I exist in a specific bubble, so I don't understand the ideologies of people outside of it. Because one thing that is true is that being a human is a complex experience, and we're all good and bad in different ways. We're all morally grey in certain ways. And a lot of racism, for instance, or xenophobia is so subtle that certain people don't even understand it, and they can be on any side of the political spectrum or consider themselves any kind of ally. I'm fortunate to exist in friendship groups where people who aren't my same race can very quickly clock it when somebody is being shady, and they use their position in life and power to protect me when they can. But it's also good to, not good to, but it's important to remember that we cannot shut ourselves off from these people entirely, because we have to coexist. I hope that at some point in time we can reach a place in life that where politics can really just be about what's the best way forward in this direction, and it doesn't involve destroying people's lives in the way that this current administration, not this current, but the next administration, seems to want to do. I think it's absolutely appalling that some person is going to have to clock into a job where they're going to have to round up people, break up families, and basically kidnap people and move them to a different country. I think that it's all intertwined, and we have to understand the thoughts of everybody in order to be strategic in moving forward, and also unfortunately finding common ground. But yeah, that is it. So what are my takeaways? Obviously I will no longer be endorsing that brand. Do not fall victim to herd mentality. Often a lot of your actions, behaviors and beliefs will also be part of the herd, but you are an individual. So if you encounter something that's happening, or behaviors that are happening that make you feel uncomfortable, that you don't want to partake in, you are free to not move with the herd. But you don't also have to make it the herd's problem. Stand on business. And I think, yeah, that actually was it. That actually was it. Let's move on to something sweeter. I hope that stuff like this doesn't happen more in the future. But This was also a lesson in branding. Sorry, before we get onto the fumes, a lesson in branding. And like I said, I'm just a person who likes to yap. I don't actually have any qualifications in marketing or anything. But of course, having engaged in products and consumption, I have engaged with branding a lot. And the first thing, like, we all always say this, we keep saying this, like, first of all, that person's going to be absolutely fine. Their life is not ruined. I'm pretty sure their stores are going to have to stock their products again because there probably was some contract signed and they're probably going to litigiously require them to stock them again. Else they have their own website and fulfillment capacity, so they can do things. They're probably going to be fine. But when it comes to personal branding, especially to those who are critiquing people for not being outwardly political on their page, even if their niche is political, everybody's niche is political because we exist as humans, it's actually better from a branding perspective to not say anything political. On one hand, certain people have a level of privilege that can allow them to be political and allow them to be controversial, let's say, or allow them to be not liked by certain groups because maybe they've just existed long enough in the industry, so they've got a stable customer base or something like that. But overall, if you want to like maximize your customer base, you just need to be about your product. So that's also to say that the smart move, like the tactical area here was not privating their private account, because anybody with half a brain would know that if somebody had found that, this exact fallout would have happened. Also, it was said, when another creator was responding to this entire situation, it was said that, isn't it hypocritical for stores to drop this person's brand, but they won't like block right-wing customers from shopping? Do you think stores like have a detector for what your political leanings are when you come into store? No. And of course they did it to preserve their own personal brand, because branding is important. If something scandalous happens with a specific brand and enough people discuss it, like if people are calling into your store saying, hey, I've just seen this about this person, are you sure you want them representative in your store? The onus is up to the brand to decide whether that aligns with them or not. And that's just it. Because we know the strength of influencer marketing, we know the strength of the internet and word of mouth, and that's how a lot of brands and stores succeed. Like Stell in New York. A lot of their current success, I mean, they're importing so many fantastic brands from all over the world. A lot of their success is because they were on the Perfume Room podcast. Yep. If you are ingratiated with the frag heads who communicate to large audiences, you're probably going to do well. Somebody was asking, oh, where should I go in New York to shop perfume? I said, Stell, have I been there? No. But I know some of the brands in there. And I know, okay, this brand has great natural fragrances, or this brand has great whatever. So you should definitely go there. So branding is important, and being political can sometimes be deleterious to your brand. And I think specifically if you are a woman, in fact. Because there are a lot of things projected onto you as a woman, right? Outside of your personhood, you are a potential breeder. You're supposed to be somebody's wife, somebody's mother. There's like a whole lot of branding just by virtue of your gender. So yeah, it makes sense that certain people don't talk out about politics. But for the most part, I think when people tell you who they are, believe them. And if you learn information that tells you something else, you can move on and act accordingly. Gosh, I hope that wasn't too ranty. Go hug your friends. I know it's a really tough time for people in the US right now, and I'm very sorry. Like it's really terrible that you have a system where you can have your entire weekend ruined by an election. it's unconscionable. It's not how democracy is supposed to work. It's barely a democracy, if I'm real. But like, let's move on to my scents. So I recently went to the UK. I'm not joking, I really did. Because, sorry, let me just reach and grab my bag. So I went to the UK so I was there from Sunday to Thursday, so 5 days. Oh, yes, 5 days, just double checking. I took 6 full bottles with me, 7 actually. Because I am unhinged. I am not reasonable. I am a little cuckoo for coconuts. But I just like having options. One thing I love about my fragrance wardrobe at home is I can wake up in a specific mood and I really can sit and think in bed, okay, what am I going to wear? What do I want to smell like? And then I go through my little like library, Rolodex of scents in my brain. And then I think, oh, I think this will be good. I think this will be good. And so if I travel, my Rolodex becomes limited. And I've run out of all of my decanting supplies because I've been sharing samples with people. So I no longer have that privilege. So I took full bottles with me and I didn't even have a proper like carry case for them. I just put them in between all of my clothes and they all survived. So what did I take with me? Sandalwood Temple by Jardin. A nice cozy little sandalwood, also just peace and good vibes. I actually took both the wedding silk Santal and the wedding velvet Santal by Kayali. So my sister and her boyfriend and I had a little sniff session because I had so many fragrances with me. But on the day I arrived in London, I actually had lunch with the brand manager for Electimus, and she gave me some samples, and so I just had a little sniff session. And the minute my sister sprayed silk Santal on her skin, she was like, I love that. And then I said, oh, you can have it if you like. And she was like, thanks. She didn't say, oh really, are you sure, do you not mind? She just said thanks. So I was never going to keep that. I think it suits her better, and I think that I wouldn't have worn it as much. She also really, really loved Velvet Santal, but I think I love it more. Or I love Velvet Santal more than I love gifting my sister perfume. And then I took both Pernoire Poka, caramel apple, and Pernoire Otimo, cardamom tobacco praline, both of which were delicious. In fact, I was wearing a mixture of Poka and spice d'Arnaud, and I went shopping in it's called Gun Wharf Quay in Portsmouth. It's kind of like an outlet village, and in the Marks and Spencer, the person who rang me up said, you smell really good. So it's really good. It's a compliment magnet. I also took Manos Gerakinis Imperial Malt, which is a delicious toffee fragrance with a strong heart of patchouli, and I don't know why I don't talk about this more. It's really delicious. I'm going to be wearing this a lot more in deep winter, and yeah, if you love to smell like toffee and you also enjoy patchouli, it's quite chewy, you would really like Imperial Malt. And then what else? Oh, duh. Can't go to London and not wear a little bit of Ludlow Lull by Gabar. Also, thank you to everybody who has been using my code. It's an affiliate code, and despite the fact that they run out every second business day, it's actually people have been using it enough. Like, it actually helped me stay an extra day in the UK. I went to London, and it kind of partially paid for my hotel room. So I really appreciate that. By the way, if you're ever in London and you're looking for a really nice, 4-star hotel in kind of the can't remember the name of the region, but it's literally by the British Museum. It's called the Montague on the Gardens. It was so lovely. I stole the slippers. They had kind of padding in the spring. They weren't those cheap, super thin slippers. And the bathroom was beautiful. The room was beautiful. I'm pretty sure they upgraded me, and I just loved it. It was absolutely spectacular. It was such a good day. But what was the best part of London, you may ask? It was meeting up with fellow frag head Octavian Who. So Octavian and I have been mutuals on TikTok for a while, and I want to cry. He said that I was one of the people that inspired him to start creating content. So please follow Octavian on TikTok. And actually, he tends to have the latest scoop on everything because he works in the Black Hall in Harrods. So the Harrods has like the beauty section, and there's a perfume room in there, and then there's also the 6th floor with perfume rooms as well, with little alcoves. He works downstairs for Maison Kayali, which is obvious from his content, and we met up and we had a perfume walk, we had coffee, we had dinner. It was so lovely, and everybody really loves him on the floor. So I got hooked up with some samples of things. For instance, I got Aurum from Bulgari, and it's a delicious oud vanilla. It's really, really good, but I'm not extending the vanilla showdown. It's done. I still have the pre-recorded finale. I've just posted the vanilla one. I'll post the finale on Monday. But one thing I smelled, by the way, was Bleu Vanille from Henri Jacques. If you don't know Henri Jacques, it's a French perfume brand that just exclusively did perfume extracts. So they were just oils with a little flacon and a little dipstick. Now they've added some extrait sprays, but those are expensive fragrances. They start at like 700 euros minimum. So Bleu Vanille is like 800 euros, and we smelled both the extract and the perfume oil, and we dipped it in and we put it on skin, and I was like, wow, I'm wearing very expensive fragrance right now. And it was actually really beautiful. I would say it's like just a hair less good than Vanille Planifolia by Jardin, but it was really lovely sniffing around with him and meeting people. I went to the Fuea store, and it's really overwhelming. Or Fuea, you know the brand, that the Spanish brand that has the little bulbs on the bottles and has naturals with everything. They have a really photorealistic condensed milk and a honey. I also got to smell a lot of things that I was intrigued by. For instance, a lot of the Harrods exclusives. So the new Jeroboam Oud, it's nice, it's clean. I don't think you're missing out on much though. If I got gifted it, I'd appreciate it, but I wouldn't go out and buy it. Then there was the Harrods exclusive Rude Oud by Fragrance du Bois. Again, it's nice. To me, it was like it kind of smelled like Tropica, the juice, with some oud. So it's like a pineapple juice version of something like oud maracuja. I also smelled Acro Glow, very much giving Goldfield and Banks Silky Woods, which, by the way, the Harrods exclusive version is exactly the same thing, just in the green bottle. I smelled the new Parfum de Nicolai. So Son Honoré is very much like a deep, rich, smoky, incensed vanilla chestnut situation. It kind of reminded me of one of the fragrances I really loved from the brand I will now no longer talk about. And Pavlova was quite okay. It didn't smell that special. It smelled done before. I smelled the new Guidance 46 compared to the original Guidance. I prefer the original Guidance. The 46 is too sharp, too fruity, but now I do understand why people prefer that one. But yeah, I smelled the new Palatine from Parfum de Mali, just as I suspected. Trash. Joking. Obviously it's a good fragrance, it's just not interesting. It's not worth that price point. I also re-smelled Valaya. I still don't understand. I smelled Blue Talisman from Ex Nihilo. It's just Akigala wood bomb and pepper. We need to put down the Akigala wood. Let's put it down, and let's put down the ouds as well. Nobody's doing anything interesting with them. Let's put them down. Let's recircle. Let's try again. Let's try something else. Try a new direction. What else did I smell that was new? Oh, I smelled the new Creed Absolute. It actually is nice. Absolute Adventus. And I smelled there's a Harrods exclusive MFK fragrance, which is kind of like a ambery raspberry kind of situation. It was really lovely, actually. I quite enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy Apom. I did not enjoy Apom at all. But there was very little that jumped out and I thought, ooh, I need to purchase that. Oh, except maybe this Aurum fragrance, but like, Valerie, finish your vanillas before you buy new vanillas. Challenge. What else? Oh, so remember when I said, oh, the designers are going to take over? Well, they're not going to take over if they're making perfumes like Bottega Veneta. Beautiful gowns, great gowns, as Aretha Franklin said when she was asked about her thoughts about Taylor Swift. Great gowns, great bottles, beautiful bottles. The juice, yikes. Sometimes I wonder if perfumers hate them. If perfumers were like, here, take this, go girl, give us nothing. I also tried the Fendi Baguette fragrance, which a lot of people had remarked on, and yeah, not that interesting. Didn't really smell much like a baguette either, or like a handbag. I don't know what it's supposed to smell like, but it smells not memorable to me personally. What did impress me? Yes, the new Kilian Old Fashioned is really photorealistic. And that's nice. Walked past... Oh, I went into the Roger Dove Old Perfumery store, and there is a brand whose name eludes me now, but it was interesting. I need to explore that more. The Dior Esprits. I smelled the Rouge Trafalgar one because I'm not actually really that interested in them. And it was meh. It was so meh. I value Francis Kurkdjian. I think he makes beautiful fragrances specifically for mass appeal, but a lot of the stuff that's coming out has really felt uninspired of late. It really has. Noise. So a lot of people, I want to know what the tea is about noise, because they came out guns blazing. They came out sending out bottles to loads of people, giving people paid partnerships, and they were doing paid partnerships with my friends that I know charge a lot of money for those partnerships. So I really wonder what the tea is. Who are these people? Where did the money come from? Most of the line, I felt, it did feel soulless, and you can have good soulless fragrances, right? The one that people enjoy, Unmute, I really like that one. Again, it's more of like a smoky vanilla, smoky musky vanilla. But other ones were a bit more like just musky and nondescript. The bottles also I'm not sure about. So yeah. I also smelled a new Memo fragrance. But, you know, they never really move me, and I'm still not much of a fan of the umbrella of Memo Hermetica Floraiku, because what do you mean Floraiku is run by two Europeans who don't employ Japanese people to discuss their haiku-inspired fragrance line, right? But again, that's not cancellation, because cancel culture doesn't exist with enough support, because cancel culture presumes that everybody thinks the same way, and that's just not true. You're gonna have people who saw like certain tweets and thought they were hilarious and wanted to back up that person, and so that's fine. Not fine, but I mean, that's the reality of the world. So no brand is ever going to be cancelled, and you just need to curate your community properly. And with that, let's dig into Miller Harris, which is a British house that was initially started with Lynn Harris, who now has the brand Perfume H. I didn't get to go there. I feel, because I have the visa now, I feel like I should go back to the UK soon. I want to potentially get a PhD PhD suit because I'm finishing my thesis as well and I'm defending next year. So I think that's a great place to find one. But I forgot a very crucial thing. I forgot to get Malt salts. And I did not check out Perfume H. I have sampled a lot of their fragrances through nose. I haven't smelled the new, I think it's a daffodil, the one that Invisible Stories Tracy really likes. So I wanted to check that out. But I mean, they're also in Zurich. I could just go to Suskind or Spitzenhaus and smell it. Not Suskind, Spitzenhaus specifically. And I didn't go to Avestan. My friend Maria has the Avestan fragrance and I really enjoy it. It's peppery. And I also wanted to get, like I said, Malt salts. I really like salt. And they have a good price in the UK compared to Switzerland, where they're charging you almost 7 francs. So that's almost like £5-6 that you're paying for a box of Malt salts, where they're like, I saw them for £3 in Waitrose. So that's rude. No, it wasn't Waitrose, it was Tesco. Anyway, let's go into some Miller Harris. We are sniffing Rose Silence. How do we feel about Rose? It was really funny. I sprayed the Atelier des Ors Rose, the Rose Oyamad or whatever, for my sister, and she's like, oh, this smells like Oma, our grandmother. And I was like, it's because it's Rose. A lot of people associate Rose with older women. Oh, this is lovely. It's like a sprightly, prickly green rose. It's really pretty. It's solid. I've smelled many roses like it. Black Datura. Black Datura. Datura is a kind of flower. Yeah, it smells like tuberose to me. Rich dizzying, a plush room of white florals dancing in the dark. Of course, things bloom better on skin, but I only have I only have 2 arms. Oh, this is actually quite lovely. It's really sensuous, white floral. But I still think that the white floral I'm going to invest in the end is going to be Wild Tuberose from Manos Gerakinis. And of course, Blondine from Versailles, because Natalia is awesome and the fragrance is awesome. And I've seen along the year, a lot of brands have kind of fallen victim into the trends of the time, and a lot of brands are abandoning their so-called mandate and their branding, their personal branding, and that's annoying to see. Like, let's be consistent. This is Pour Santal. Yeah, I see. It's like a creamier Santal 33. It's good. A lot of these fragrances so far are like good, but they're not blowing my hair back. I don't know if it's because the style is like really solid perfume. They don't smell too perfumey, and they don't smell ultra synthetic, or they don't smell supernatural either. Ooh, Miracle Muse, hello. A stolen pause, enjoyed alone, quiet, elegant, in reflection of the joy to come. Rose, rum, and strawberry. Ah! Yes, it's the strawberry I'm smelling. This is cool. Now, I'm not really much of a red fruits wearer, but I enjoy that. Miracle Muse by Miller Harris. Get your nose on it, friends. And I just realized that they do have the notes on it. Now we're smelling Étui Noir. I don't even know what this means. And I have to say, it was so nice being in an English-speaking country. Oh, lovely. There's sandalwood in here as well. Iris Leather Incense. I'm getting the iris more now. Oh yeah. Étui Noir. That's stunning. That is stunning. Oh. Let's have a moment, friends. It's also a little bit nutty. Oh yeah. Okay, I need to keep my eye on that one. If you... we've got L'air de rien, which I think... interesting, considering the topic of the front part of this episode is ironic, because this is one of the really favored fragrances of the cancelled influencer in question. And unfortunately, their taste abides. It's really good. If you've ever been in a secondhand bookstore and you've gone to the hardbound books and their cover's slightly frayed, you can kind of smell a little bit of the resin that's bound the book, and you have that the paperiness and the muskiness. Yeah. This was also Jane Birkin's signature scent. Oh no, this is really good. The moss adds a bit of a green touch, but it's really this booming amber and slight mossiness. And I feel like an incense as well. Yeah. Did they do this without papyrus? Oh, there's musk. That's why there's lots of boomingness. There's a musk. It's not like it is a clean musk. It is a clean musk, but I think it's mostly an amber fragrance, but it's been worked so well. That is really good. This is also really good. Etui Noir, L'air de rien. Air of nothing. That's a good name. Now we try La Feuille. Now I have to say, I know nothing about this brand. As I'm going through these fragrances, I'm realizing now, because it's a British brand. Why are the names in French? Ooh, this is green. It's fig leaf. Through and through, and a little bit pulpy. They say tomato leaf, green ivy, cassis. Oh, I get the cassis as well. Ooh, this is good. La Feuille is good. Am I somebody who wants to smell like leaves? Not necessarily. I will say that the tomato leaf is not very prominent, because when you say tomato leaf on a notes list, I want it to be photorealistic. I want to have no doubts about it. I want to be able to go into my fridge, take a bunch of tomatoes, smell that vine and be like, yep, this is the same thing. That's not what's in there, but it's really good. Sorry, I'm still smelling these two that I've... Oh no. Because actually I was remarking earlier that it's been a while since a fragrance has really, really excited me. And I'm really happy that I'm finding exciting things here. Because, okay, controversial take. Not actually that controversial considering what normally comes out of people's mouths when they say controversial take. I'm not that much of a fan of Scherzo. I'm sorry. That's their rose oud. I just don't find it that compelling. Because I've smelled so many rose ouds. Like, that's not my one, necessarily. This is really pretty. Oud éclat. It's like, yeah, that's it. So it's oud, tagette, which is marigold, and then maltol. So yeah, it's basically cotton candy oud. This should be viral. Miller Harris, if you're ever doing a campaign, you need to send people this. This will be viral. Oh, I love that. I'm gonna wear that. And then there were three favorites. And then we have Poirier d'un soir. I don't know what a Poirier is. Poire is pear. A pear of the evening. So pear, rum, and white cedarwood. I was going to criticize that these boxes are very big for a little 2 ml sample, but then they have a lot of information on it, so I actually appreciate it. Yeah. I'm sorry, my pear will always be Ultima Storia, because the pear in here really reminds me of Born Dreamer by, what's her face? Charlie D'Amelio. Oh, speaking of, I also smelled the new Merit fragrance. It's okay. Not that excited about it. And also, by the way, speaking of Electimus, from like hours ago it seems now, they're coming out with some new scents. I smelled some sneak peeks, and yeah, stay tuned. The Octavian also handed me some other things, which I think are not in the samples he gave me, and I won't necessarily spray all of them now, because I mean we've done good. We've done like what, 9 fragrances. I think some of these in here are duplicates, but let's see what we have, because I'm having such a good time with you. So it's still Miller Harris, so I think we should carry on. So we've got Staccato, and I just know that from piano where it's like, oh, this is an incense, but it's not like vanillic and sweet. It's more like woody and grounded. Smoked. Oh, this is really good. I have been neglecting a brand full of gems, and maybe I should never have known, because now what am I going to do? Now we've got Celadon. I don't know what that means, except it kind of reminds me of a creature name. Oh, this is also kind of like a green leafy scent with some cassis, a lot of cassis. I also smell the fig leaf as well. It's good. Is it for me? No, because I mean there are just certain scents that I won't wear. We've got a duplicate of L'air de Rien, which is amazing because now I can wear that. And now we have Minière. Oh gosh, English. I came on a boat to my country, okay? Leave me alone. Oh, that's boring. It's just blue men's fragrance. And now we've got Soufflon. Ooh, another burnt fragrance. More burnt sugar, deep woods. I think it's Gaiac wood. This is cool. This I'll wear, but it's not super exciting. I still really, really like that other one that I just smelled. And let's see. Yeah, I think we're basically there. We've got some more Octavian scents to smell together, which I think we can do at another time. I will finish off with a Maison Crivelli fragrance, which is a exclusive, I think it's to Selfridges. So of course we don't have access to it in the rest of the world. And this is Cuir Infrarouge. And it's so good. It's like a raspberry leather. And the leather is quite sharp. It's less suede-y than the other leathers in the line. Like, I think this is not as smooth as the leather in Oud Stallion, which he also gave me 2 samples of, and I'm so excited and grateful. But this is fantastic. I love the structure of like a sweet fruit and then something more interesting and growly and textured in the base, which is why I think I also really love Ultima Storia so much. Yeah, in a way that these 2 scents are not the same, but their structure reminds me of each other. Infrarouge, Cuir Infrarouge, and Ultima Storia. Yummy. So good. Oh, this was fantastic. Thank you, Octavian and Janice. Please follow them online. I will add their links to this episode. And yeah, be kind to each other. At the end of the day, not to be a High School Musical head ass. We're all in this together. So let's choose kindness and compassion, and above all, tolerance of people's differences. Okay, there's no need to take up a flag against somebody's existence such that it causes an existential threat. existential threat. With that, I will ask you to please sample any future purchases before you buy them. And as always, happy sniffing.